Subscribe if you're done being a loser. Let's go.
And that's it.
As a coach, you say your investment in your life.
Yes.
How much are you?
I mean, how much is your life worth it?
How much are you investing in your health?
Exactly.
Your
Yeah.
So many things.
Yeah. And again, people, you can't cut corners. I say to people, it takes 9 months for a baby to be born. You can't impregnate 9 women and get a baby in 1 month. It's never going to happen. So you have to go through the process. You have to trust the process. Don't rush the process. Don't compare yourself with anybody else, because there's nobody like you. Even if you are twins, there's a DNA structure that is not the same in both twins. It's similar but not the same. So I say to a lot of young people who are starting up, you take your time and build value. And the time will come when you now command a fee that is an investment fee that is really worth, whatever. But in the beginning, understand you've got to pay school fees. You've got to give value to get value in return. And again, being an entrepreneur is not a very romantic thing. It's a very difficult thing. People think, it's romantic. It's not. But always increase your own personal value by investing in yourself first. I told you, I travel the world. Even today, I've got mentors, coaches. I'm now working with this guy who's going to help me do digitize. He's a digital guru, and he's charging me money, not small money. Why am I willing to pay? Because I saw the value that he created with other people and for himself. So I want the same for myself in a different way, and therefore I'm going to invest. I'm not investing in him. I'm not paying him. I'm investing in myself, and that's the paradigm shift I put myself. You're investing in yourself. You're not paying me. I don't need you to pay me. You're investing in yourself. This is about you. And if you're not willing to invest in yourself, then don't do it.
The late Dr. John Tibani was my mentor, an amazing man. He once shared with me an affirmation that he was doing every morning. He said every morning he makes this affirmation that today I'm going to meet people who have what I need and who need what.
Yes. That's value extraction, yes. And remember, and that's what I'm saying, once you've sent that, it goes into the frequency of life. It touches those same people. They look for you as much as you look for them. And suddenly, people say, I'm lucky. You're not lucky. It's the frequency of life and the vibration of your thought processes and your consciousness. There's nothing called luck. I don't know. People are researching this process called luck. I believe in serendipity. Things happen because they have to happen because the vibration was right. So you will meet the kind of people that you need to meet at the right time that you need to meet them. And that's it. But you've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared. Because you've got to be prepared.
At the core of this conversation is frequency. Now, someone watching the show may be asking, how do I start to build a great frequency where I can start now to attract value and find a better relationship with money?
One of the things that I've learned, meditation. And it's fascinating how when people don't know things, they then speak from a place of ignorance and they lose the magic of it. A lot of Christians say, meditation will call some spirits and blah. The word meditation means to be familiar with. But to be familiar with what? So your brain, your mind operates with a mathematical formula we call an algorithm. Now, if your algorithm can calculate up to 15 rand, you will always get 15 rand. You'll actually get 15 rand or less. Come back to 15 rand or less. You'll never go above 15 rand. For you to get 16 rand, you have to build a different formula in your brain that can then send that frequency as 16 rands. And then 16 rand will show up. But 16 rand is not going to show up if your vibration is at 15. But how do you change that? You have to hack your brain, literally. Now, how do we hack our brain? Now, here's the thing, research will tell you that human beings remember 22% more narratives, more stories than they remember data. Because by nature, we're people that I call human beings now, homo storians. We love stories because they sit very well in our brains and they vibrate in a particular level. The only way that you hack your brain is to start consuming content that will take your brain through what we call neuroelasticity. It will stretch your brain, because when your brain has been stretched, It doesn't go back to its original format. And how do you do that? You find stories of men and women that have walked the same path that you're walking, but that have achieved higher things. You start reading those stories, but don't read those stories in the fourth, fifth person. Read them in the first person. Own that story and make it your story. Because here's the fascinating thing. When it gets into your subconscious mind does not know the difference between right or wrong, reality or fantasy. It stores what it stores. It needs a trigger to bring it back. Exactly the way that it is. So once you start hacking your brain is by reading stories of men and women that have done super amazing things. Read those things and use this technique called spaced repetition. Keep reading the story until your brain believes it's your story. And then the frequency of your brain will begin to change and vibrate at that level. And once that vibration happens, suddenly you shift from 15 rand to 16 or 17 rand. And matter doesn't change matter. You don't change in this. I can't change you until when you meditate, and I'll give the viewers a few people to check. There's a guy called Jose Silva, Josesilva, Jose Silva. Fascinating guy who teaches a particular meditation technique that produces particular results. Google him, find his book, find the videos, and start practicing what he teaches. It's powerful. There's a guy, Dr. Joe Dispenza, amazing guy, also teaches powerful Joe, Dr. Joe and Dispenza's Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza. There's quite a lot of people. Max, we teach this stuff. We've been teaching this stuff for a long time. But you cannot change the frequency of your life and the frequency of your brain if you're not willing to die. If you're not willing to kill this person that lacks the belief and the frequency. And the only way that you do that, when you kill yourself and shift from one place to the other, is through meditation. Because when you meditate, you get to a place where you disappear, when there's no longer Max, but it is you and the frequency of creation. And that frequency of creation, because you've already sent the message of what you want, you now begin to vibrate, and the algorithm in your brain that controls how you think begins to change. And then suddenly, you're no longer a 16, 15 rand thinking person, you're now vibrating at 17 rand. And by the way, you do that repetitively to move from one level to the other, to the other.
And then the subconscious mind, it begins to stop.
And it works like magic. Exactly, it's a new program.
Suddenly you begin to see on every level.
Yeah,
opportunity.
Absolutely. Exactly. If you go back to this amazing movie that I used to teach, when Morpheus is working with Neo and he's teaching Neo about how his brain needs to change. And they're walking and Morpheus is teaching him, and then there's a woman in a red dress, and then Neo looks, and then Morpheus says to him, were you listening to me or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? He says, I was, and then he says, freeze it, and suddenly there's a guy pointing a gun at him. And then Neo says to him, is this the Matrix? He says, no. It's another training program designed to teach you one thing. You're either one of us or one of them. And he says, who are they? Then he explains. He says they're sentient programs that can move in and out of any software still hotwired to the system, which means anyone who have not changed is particularly, an enemy. He says we've run from them, we've hidden from them, but they're holding all the doors, they're holding all the keys, they're guarding all the doors, which means that sooner or later somebody has to deal with them. And then he says, by the way, these guys are crazy, man. I've seen an agent punch through a concrete wall. Men have emptied entire clips at them and hit nothing but air. And then he says, and yet, their speed and their strength is still based on a world that is built on rules. And because of that, they will never be as strong or as fast as you can be. He tells that to Neo. And Neo's eyes goes like this. And he says to Morpheus, what are you trying to tell me, that I can dodge bullets? He says to him, no, Neo. What I'm trying to tell you that when you are ready, you won't have to. When you are ready, you won't have to dodge the bullets, because it's going to be more powerful than the bullets. It's all a brain process. It's all a brain, and we can change. Guys, it's not rocket science. You have to be intentional, And so those that will start their meditation journey with Joe Silva and Joe Dispenza, there's a magic time, there's magic time between 3 and 4. Between 3 and 4, it's the magic time. In Zulu, it's called Ikwezi Lobusa. In English, it's called the Midnight Star. 3 and 4. Some people, a.m. And back in the days, they used to call it the hours of the witches. If you go and research, most people die or get born within that time. So there's a lot of shift in the spiritual realm that happens. So when you meditate or pray, do it within those times, and I promise you, magic will begin to happen. But you have to be intentional, because remember, God says in the book of Habakkuk, you must write your vision down. All of these things I'm sharing to you, they can't just be things in the air. You have to write them down. How much money do you want to vibrate? What growth of your business? Where do you want to live? And all these things. And remember, you're solving a problem and this becomes the reward. You're not chasing these things. You know what I'm trying to say? You're not chasing them. All these things, I want to solve this problem. And when I solve this problem, I'm going to have access to this tool called money. When I've got access to this tool called money, because now I'm vibrating above this tool, I can use it to get A, B, C, and D. But don't let this thing vibrate above you. You know, the Bible speaks about dominion. People are dominated by things. We're supposed to dominate things. Things are supposed to be below us, not above us.
Dr. Billy Silegani, in his vintage way, leaving no stone unturned, firing all cylinders here on CEMEX Network. Make sure that you subscribe. So that's the power of training and rewiring
Your brain, yeah.
your brain.
Yeah.
If you like, hacking your brain.
That's the only way. Because remember, your brain, Max, does two things. It uses calories and it protects you from any foreign thing that it doesn't know. If I give you a book, this thing, and say, hey, Max, go and read this book and give me a summary of the books tomorrow, your brain goes, oh, it's not happening. I'm going to have to use so much calories, it's just not happening. This is a foreign object, I'm not going to get involved. And you have a block. But if I give you a small book like this, your brain says, we're going to do this. We can do it. So again, you have to train your brain from one level to the next, to the next, to the next, until it's just simple. And that happens when you learn these powerful meditation techniques. But when you meditate, you must meditate based on what is it that you want to solve and what is the manifestation of you solving this problem, having access to this tool called money to have these things. And there's nothing wrong in having a Lamborghini. There's nothing wrong in having a private jet, but there's something wrong if all you ever think about is having those things. Then you're going to cut corners, you're going to do all kind of stuff, and they're going to come back to the Rwanda, SIU, you know. But the Rwanda, SIU, it comes and touches them. So I keep saying there's nothing wrong in having those things. But we should have them. There's things, I mean, I was saying to somebody, if I take all of us here to go and buy Lamborghinis, there'll still be Lamborghinis to sell to you. If I say let's go and buy private jets, there'll still be private jets to buy. If I say let's go and buy yachts, there's still be yachts to sell. So therefore, there's more things than people have access to them because those things are above them. Oh, I mean, you don't understand. We can now drive to Sentin. We can drive to all the car dealerships. There's no car that you have designed that you can have. You can go to Waterfall, houses are being sold everything. You can go to Midstreams, houses are being sold everything. Things are there. But because you don't vibrate in a particular way, you're not going to enjoy those things. Because the biggest chance your brain. If you fix your brain. And by the way, Max, we also have to consistently do that. You charge a particular fee. For you to shift from that fee to the next fee, you've got to, your brain, you've got to challenge yourself. Because now that's your comfort zone. Even though other people think, oh my God, this is free. But it has become your comfort zone. And for you to shift from that to that one, you now have to calibrate differently. You've got to hack differently. Because I say, you know, they say in the land of the blind, the one-eyed guy becomes the king until the one with two eyes shows up. You know what I mean? Yes. We have to always
what
do
are you
this.
saying to someone who says, you know, there are people who declare and decree, you know, I want 5 million, I want this, but it never happens.
Yeah. Because what they wish for and what they do, there's no congruency between the two. Everybody wishes. And then that's why they say, if wishes were horses, we'd all ride on them. You can't wish things. You plan things and you must work. You know, it's as simple as that.
It's like when you want a woman, you must vibrate to her level.
Okay, so let me tell you. Now you're asking, you're coming to a very beautiful, beautiful space. And I know she's going to watch this podcast and she's gonna have it. So, like me and you, we've gone through divorces, we've gone through painful stuff in our lives. Then we started dating, it just didn't work. And then again, I remember the book of Habakkuk, what it says, right? When I decided, I'm just stopping here, I'm pausing. And I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write to God. And I'm going to clearly define what kind of woman is going to walk the next part of my life. I wrote this thing down, like everything. How she must look, everything. And then I said to God, please make me the man who's good enough to have this woman. Make me the right vessel. Because if I'm not the right vessel, when she comes, I will not be able to contain her.
Yeah. So you are preparing, you are rewiring from within.
Yeah.
Like a magnet.
And I stayed away from people and I just focused on myself. So what are my shortcomings? We all know our shortcomings. I said, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to see a shrink. I'm going to see a coach. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk relationship. I'm going to read. I'm going to do all kind of things. Yeah, and then I put a deadline on when I must meet this person. Okay. And I meet this person 3 days after my birthday, and the deadline was July. So I meet this person 3 days after my birthday. We started connecting. It's April. So my deadline is July. The 26th of April, 3 days after my birthday, I meet this person. We started. Oh wow, we must make a big party. So we started connecting and talking and blah blah. And I quickly became intentional, and I said to her, listen. When she told me a story, I told her my story, and I said, where I am now, this is where I want to go. And I want to go to this place with this kind of a person. And if you're this kind of a person, yes, and if you're this kind of a person, let's be intentional about it. Let's not play around. And I started sharing who this person is, and she started telling me what kind of man she wants, blah, blah, blah. And I can tell you, Megs, she scored way above 90% of what I wanted. And we became intentional about it. And it has been a beautiful journey. It's been amazing. It's been we're not a perfect couple. We're never going to become a perfect couple, but we walk in this path together. We communicate, we laugh, we challenge ourselves, we do all these kind of things. And it happened because I became intentional about it. I did not wish for it. I wrote it down and I presented it to God, and I said, God, also work on me to be the kind of vessel that can carry this kind of woman. You have to be intentional. And I prayed about it and I meditated about it. And I was not willing to compromise. Like, I was not willing to compromise, Max. Even if it took me a year, I was willing. Yes, and I have to be that to get this. You know, it's still a journey, but God will give you exactly what you want. Whatever you want is there. But are you also willing to sacrifice and put and do the work? You've got to do the work. You've got to do the work. It's in everything in your business. Like now my business, I'm doing the work, man. I'm doing the work. And it's so amazing because it feels like I'm starting from scratch. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful because now I've got this clarity. Like I can see far. Like I can see places that I had no capability to see earlier on in my life, you know. And by the way, a lot of people don't know this. A good woman, actually women are the magnets of wealth. Women are the magnets of wealth. If you get a woman, she's going to be the magnet. If you get a bad one, she's going to repel. If you and her don't have the same vision, she's going to repel. Now if you go back to the Bible in the book of Exodus, when the Jews left Egypt, God says to the women, Jewish women, go to the Egyptian women, ask for this gold, frankincense, this and this and this. And they went to the Egyptian women. And the Egyptian women gave them. And the Bible says, when they left, Egypt became free. So by all intents and purposes, women are the covenant of wealth. If you find the right one and you vibrate in the same way and you share the same vision, I promise you, wealth becomes secondary. It's going to show up because you're living an intentional life. You're vibrating in the same way. And you're working together in building, preserving, and creating generational wealth. Because it's no longer about you buying the next car, the next watch. It's about, 5 generations from now, I want my kids to have my picture, our picture on their wall and say, without these two people, we would not be where we are today. The Kennedys, the Rockefellers, the Rothschild, and whatever. Generational wealth, the Oppenheimers. Go and look at their lives. They were married, they had steady marriages, and the wives understood the vision, and they attracted the wealth which was necessary to build it and preserve it for generations.